Hello Internet, and good evening. My name is Caretaker. I am your host today, and I will be taking care of you. This is my channel, and this is the first video for my channel. We're going to be calling it An Atheist Reads the Bible. We have the Holy Bible here, the King James Version, and we're going to go through Genesis, the first chapter of Genesis, and we'll go from there. Alright, so I'm ready to get started. I got my book here, got my drinks, I got a Coke and I got some water, so we are good, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to get started. Thank you for joining us. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. And God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. And God saw the light, that it was good, and God divided the light from the darkness. And God called the light day, and the dark he called night, or darkness he called night. And the evening and the morning were the first day. Now, once we're done going through the first chapter of Genesis here, which looks to be about 31 paragraphs, there will be several talking points that we're going to discuss. So I just wanted to cut in and say that. But let's continue. And God said, "Let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters." And God made the firmament, and divided the waters from which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament. And it was so. And God called the firmament heaven. And the evening and the morning were the second day. And God said, "Let the waters under the heaven be gathered together unto one place, and let the dry land appear," and it was so. And God called the dry land earth. And the gathering together of the waters called he seas. I think they meant called the seas, but it literally says called he seas. And God saw it was good. And God said, "Let the earth bring forth grass, the herb yielding seed, and the fruit tree yielding fruit after his kind, whose seed is in itself upon the earth," and it was so. And the earth brought forth grass and herb yielding seed after his kind, and the trees yielding fruit, whose seed was in itself after his kind. And God saw that it was good. And the evening and the morning were the third day. And God said, "Let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven, to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons, and for days and for years. And let them be for lights in the firmament of the heaven, to give light upon the earth," and it was so. And God made two great lights, which is one of our biggest issues. That is something we will be discussing after all of this. Okay. And God made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night. He made the stars also. Now, I just want to butt in for 1 second, because a couple of paragraphs back, or sentences back, it literally said that, he put stars in the sky. "Let there be lights in the firmament." Yeah, it's from 14, and we go to 15 and then to 16, and then it says he made stars also. So that's one of the bigger confusing things. We're not actually going to talk about that at the end of all this, which is why I wanted to butt in with that real quick. But I thought that was kind of weird. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and continue. And God set them in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth, and to rule over the day and over the night, and to divide the light from the darkness. And God saw that it was so. And the evening and the morning were the fourth day. And God said, "Let the waters bring forth abundantly the moving creatures that hath life, and fowl that may fly above the earth, and the open firmament of heaven. And God created great whales, and every living creature that moveth, which the waters brought forth abundantly after their kind, and every winged fowl after his kind. And God saw that it was good. And God blessed them, saying, Be fruitful and multiply. I'm just going to let that sink in for a second. That's another thing we're going to be talking about at the end, but yeah. And fill the waters in the seas, and let fowl multiply the earth. In the evening and the morning were the 5th day. And God said, Let the earth bring forth the living creatures after his kind, cattle and creeping thing, and beast of the earth after his kind, and it was so. And God made the beast of the earth after his kind, and cattle after their kind, and everything that creepeth upon the earth after his kind. And God saw that it was good. And God said, Let us make man in our own image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him, male and female, he them. And God blessed them. And God said unto them, Be fruitful, and multiply, and replenish the earth, and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over every living thing that moveth upon the earth. I'm surprised he didn't say creepeth again. And God said, Behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed, which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree, in which is the fruit of a tree, yielding seed. To you it shall be for meat. Now this is another thing we're going to be talking about at the end of the video. So just keep in mind what we said there. And to every beast of the earth, and to every fowl of the air, and to every thing that creepeth upon the earth, wherein there is life, I have given every green herb for meat. And it was so. And God saw everything that he had made, and behold, it was very good. And the evening and the morning were the 6th day. Alright, so that's the first chapter of Genesis. I'm going to pause the video real quick while I prepare for my notes. I'll be right back. Okay, we're back. So, like I said, that's the first chapter of Genesis. We just got done reading through. A couple of things we want to go over real quick here. So, some of my biggest issues with Genesis. On the first day, God creates light with no sun or stars in the sky. The sun isn't actually made until the 4th day. And on top of all this, 4 mornings and evenings pass while there's no sun in the sky. Well, I guess technically 3 mornings and evenings pass because he makes the sun on the 4th day, but still. But yeah, that doesn't make any sense to me. Now, I know a lot of people will basically say that the light was coming from God, but then if light was coming from God, why did he have to divide light from darkness? Wouldn't there just been light? But I mean, that's one of my biggest issues with the Genesis. But yeah, feel free to talk about it in the comments. I'd like to know your opinions on this matter. We're going to go ahead and go over to the next point here. The firmament is made on the 2nd day, splitting the water from the water. There's no, I mean, it speaks of a firmament. You know, it's supposed to be like this thing over the earth. And there's supposed to be water above the firmament. And they refer to the firmament as heaven, But I don't think they mean heaven as in like the place where you go after you die, heaven, like where God and his angels and everything are supposed to be at. I don't think he means that kind of heaven. What I'm guessing that they actually are referring to is like the sky in general. Because it does state that the fowl fly, they use that, the firmament as their grounds. But yeah, we've been to space, we've been to the moon, we've got satellites, we've been to Mars, we have a rover on Mars. I mean, come on, there is no firmament, there is no water above said firmament. I mean, maybe we'll find out more about the firmament as we go in the Bible. By the way, I've never actually read the Bible, which is why I wanted to make this series. As someone who is an atheist, despite the fact that I've never actually read the Bible, so I want to go through the Bible. Maybe it'll turn me Christian. I highly doubt it, but we'll see. But anyway, we'll get more to that in a second. Let's finish the points here that I want to go over. Okay, so in Genesis, plants are made before the sun. What? He makes plants before the sun? That doesn't make any sense. Plants basically have to have the sun. I mean, I can't nitpick too much about the plants being made before the sun because, the sun is literally made on the next day. Which, plants can survive a nighttime, so maybe they could survive a full day, but it just seems kind of ridiculous to me that he would make the plants before the sun. It's almost like he's like, oops, I made plants first. I almost forgot I have to make the sun. I better do that next or the plants are going to die. So, I mean, God made a mistake. God's not supposed to be capable of making mistakes. He's God. Alright, so that's one of my biggest issues. Anyway, again, feel free to talk about it in the comments. I'd love to hear your opinions on this. Alright, so then on the next day, God makes the sun, the moon, and the stars. Alright, that's all well and good. Alright, the problem that I have is that it refers to the moon as its own light source. The moon is not a light source. It says, there's going to be two lights in the sky, the sun, to the greater light, which is the sun, to rule the day, and the lesser light, the moon, to rule the night. But the moon is not its own light source. It does not give off light. It reflects light. There's a big difference. You can look at the moon. You can't look at the sun. Alright? And there's a lot of reasons why that is, but if you look at the sun, it's going to blind you. You look at the moon, you're fine, but don't look at the moon during an eclipse. Alright, so let's move on. But yeah, that's definitely a big issue because, I mean, like I said, the moon does not give off its own light. That's ridiculous. If Moses, Moses is the one who writes Genesis, and if this guy is actually talking to God and getting all this information, then God should be giving him accurate information. Accurate information. Alright? Seriously. Not telling him bullcrap. Alright, so we're going to move on. Alright, so one of my other biggest issues isn't really so much with God himself or anything like that in Genesis, but the creationists as a whole. Because creationists often have this big issue with evolution. They're not willing to accept that a creature could evolve over time, despite the fact that we ourselves have. We are apes. By definition, we had disposable thumbs just like they do. We did not come from an ape. We came from a common ancestor. Alright? That's a big, big, big thing. But yet they don't seem to have any problem, accepting magic. Like, there's a creature. There's another creature. There's another creature. If I was a god, I would be a lot like Star-Lord. I would make some weird stuff. Just for the fun of it. You think the platypus is weird? Nah. Nah, man. I will make a winged horse with a human's body, a snake for a tail, and lasers shooting out its eyes. Alright? I would make some weird things. but he poofs them into existence is my point. Birds, fish, beasts, whatever have you. Poof. Didn't evolve over a long period of time. No, it just poof. I'm sorry, evolution makes a lot more sense to me. Alright, so after that, God doesn't just poof poof a whole, like, amount into existence. The way they actually word it, he poofs like a couple, like a male and female fish, male, female beast, male, female birds, and then he tells them to go have sex. You know, I'm not even kidding. He says, be fruitful and multiply. Those are the exact words, I believe. Be fruitful and multiply, meaning go have sex. I'm sorry, I'm God, but I'm tired. I just got done making the whole earth. I can't make more than 2 of you. Y'all have to go have sex. I'm at my limit. God's not supposed to have limits. I mean, seriously. I'm fine with telling them to go have sex. But he should have been able to, make a vast amount of them first. Anyway, maybe I'm being a little bit too nitpicky with that one, but my whole basic point comes down to the fact that, creationists, they have such a hard time accepting evolution, but they don't seem to have a hard time accepting magic. Is magic, alright? That's magic. Poofing something into existence with a snap of your finger, that's magic. I'm sorry. I mean, you can call him God and say all he does, he can do whatever he wants, all you want. But it doesn't help your argument any. Especially since there's literally no proof for God. I mean, this is where your proof ends. This is your proof, and this is where it ends. This is not proof. If this is proof of God, then my Venom comic books are proof of Venom. But let's move on. Okay, so my one of my final things with this whole deal here in Genesis is that he's creating creatures that are carnivores and omnivores as well as herbivores. So if we were just supposed to have fruits, and our fruits were supposed to be, meats for us, then why did he give us sharp teeth? Why did he create carnivores and omnivores when all he needed was herbivores? He only needed the one thing. If we were just supposed to eat, fruits and that's it, then we should have just had herbivores, and that's all. But we had carnivores, omnivores, and herbivores. We, by the way, are omnivores. We are omnivores. We eat meat and we eat grass or greens, vegetables, fruits, whatever have you. But yeah, that's what we are. We have our sharp teeth and we have our square teeth. So we are omnivores. All right. And that looks like all my points here. We are at 18 minutes on the first video. I would say that's not too shabby. Thank you all for joining me today. My Patreon is set up. It's not completed, but it's set up. So if you like this video, please support me on Patreon. I appreciate it. It'll help me get better gear to make better recordings, better videos. I intend to do the Atheist Reads the Bible series and go through the entire Old Testament. We're going to do it one chapter at a time. So next time on the series, we're going to be doing chapter 2 of Genesis. Which of course starts off with the seventh day and how God rests. And we'll see where it goes from there. Please let me know in the comments if there's any videos you'd like for me to watch. I am also looking for videos to debunk. Thank you to Logic and Armored Skeptic, Bionic Dance, Godless Cranium, Matthew Dillahunty from Atheist Experience, and the list goes on, honestly. Can't think of all of you off the top of my head, but I'll mention some more of you later. But nonetheless, thank you guys so much. You guys helped me out a lot when I was going through a hard time transitioning. I never really was what you'd call a Christian, but I wasn't really an atheist either. So I just kind of got pulled over into the good ranks here. A little bit of backstory. My basic background goes, I kind of figured that if there was a God, that it wasn't any of the gods that existed here on this planet. That was basically my grounds. But you know, I'll get into my background story and everything on a later date. But yeah, thank you all so much for watching. Once again, my Patreon is up. If you enjoyed this video, please like and share. And any comments you have, please comment away in the comment box. I guess that's about it. All right. Break the silence. Question everything.